Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Duchess Swan. I am a counselor in training, a psychology student, and a multi-dimensional scientist. Today, we're going to be learning how to build our self-image using Bob Proctor's philosophy. I hope I said his last name correctly, Bob Proctor. So we're going to be learning how to develop a winner's image. I'm going to try my best to make this quick because I only have 15 minutes with you guys. 15. Self-image is how you perceive yourself. And what's important is whether you are happy with how you perceive yourself or if you're not happy with how you perceive yourself. So why should you change your self-image? We're assuming you don't like your self-image. We're under this assumption that you're not happy with your self-image. You don't like what you see. You don't like something eternally or psychologically or physically about yourself, and you're here because you want to make a difference. You're here because you want to build your self-image. So one way Bob Proctor says to look at it is to see life as a mirror. And basically, when you see your own reflection on the outside, it's a reflection, obviously, of what you wear. Like if you're looking in the mirror, I'm going to see someone with a white sweater and Nike and black braids. If I'm not happy with what I see, I shouldn't try to change the reflection. Changing the reflection is not going to change anything. I should change what I'm wearing if I am not happy with what I'm wearing. If I'm not happy with the outside, I change. If I'm not happy with what I'm seeing in the mirror, I change myself. I don't try to change the mirror or try to change the reflection because that's not how it works. So see the world and your environment as a mirror that reflects your self-image. So we realize that we're not happy with what we see in the mirror, so we're going to try and we're going to change our outlook. Metaphorically, of course, it may involve physically changing your outlook, but we're specifically talking from a metaphorical perspective. I think he said Emerson made this quote. I'm not sure. I will link the video down to Bob Proctor's philosophy on the secret to self-image. But he uses this quote that I really, really like. And he said, "Of what use is the law if the same old lawbreakers are going to continue breaking it?" So I don't know. That's roughly, I sort of gave it my own words, but that's roughly what he said, and that's roughly what he meant. So what is the use of all this information that we are learning, of life, of everything around us, if we're going to continue to make the same old mistakes? If you want to change, you have to change your mindset. You have to change your perspective. It is a waste for me to make this video if you are not going to take something from it and help yourself. If you know that you have to build a good self-image in order to see life reflect what you really are inside and what you resonate with. The next point is your environment is like a looking glass for the mind. To create, it reflects what your mind creates, basically. So if you want to create your dream life, if you want to create your dream life, you want to change your self-image, you use the power of your mind. So if you don't know any videos on the power of the mind, do some research, but I will have videos on this channel in the future regarding the subconscious and the conscious mind and what it can do. So what we're going to try to do is that we're going to try to visualize what the mind looks like. Why should we visualize it? Well, if your mind is a thing that creates things, then, well, it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be difficult for you to understand, okay, what does this thing that creates other things, what does it look like? So Bob Proctor has this diagram. I don't know if there you go, you can see it clearly. He has this diagram, and this diagram is what we're going to use. I'll also put it on the screen so it can be helpful for you. So first of all, the big ball is the conscious mind. The little ball with the sticks coming out of it is your body. And then the arrow represents your behavior or your action, and then the R represents results. So there are two parts in the big ball, which is your mind. There's the conscious mind, right, that gives us all this voluntary action, and then there's the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is your subconscious mind is the one that's responsible for action and behavior. We do action and behavior subconsciously. So if we want to change our action, okay, we're assuming that the action that we're doing is leading to the life that we have. Because what did we say? We say it all starts in the mind. It all starts in the mind. The subconscious is the one that projects our self-image onto life. So when we see our behavior, we see our financial situation, our romantic situation, our relationship with God, our education, and we don't like what we see. It has to do with the fact that our self-image in our subconscious mind is negative, and it's causing this negative self-image is causing us to act in certain ways that will lead us. How do I say? It will lead us to the results of what the conscious mind has been imprinting on the subconscious. How do I say this? Say you have a thought. So your conscious mind is the one that thinks, right? It's your thinking right now. Say I have a thought, and the thought is like, nobody's gonna watch my videos, right? What's going to happen is this. That is going to imprint on my subconscious. And when it imprints on my subconscious is going to make behaviors and patterns that will cause me to behave in a way that produces videos of poor quality, or whatever it is I'm teaching you is of poor quality, which will make people not want to watch or be invested. So what would that lead to? People not watching my videos. And even if I do something better, even if I'm in the middle of doing something better, I'm like, yeah, I'm working hard on myself, on my relationship with God, and relationship with myself, my outward appearance. As long as my self-image is bad, my subconscious is going to do is that it's going to make me behave according to my self-image. And like autopilot, it's going to redirect me back to the girl whose videos nobody watches. Say you start studying very hard. You're like, I'm going to get an A this semester. What's going to happen is this. When you study hard to get that A, your subconscious is going to say, oh, she's getting off course. Course is D. She is going to the course of A. That's not what we agreed on. So that the subconscious will use the self-image that is in your mind to basically, like a puppet, direct your behavior back and put it towards course. And it happens subconsciously, because one thing, you're like, oh, I don't feel like studying, and then you self-sabotage. That's what happens. You self-sabotage. So after you self-sabotage with that old mindset's behavior or that old image behavior, you're going back to get a D when you could have been so close to getting an A. If you change your mindset and you change your image, okay, your self-image, to a winner's self-image, that's what Bob calls it, a winner's self-image, and you tell yourself, I'm getting an A. Guess what happens? There's going to be a new course. By new course, I mean your subconscious is going to use your self-image to influence you to do behaviors that will give you an A. And if you ever go off course and start doing something else, your subconscious will drag you back in using your new self-image, your winner's self-image. The next thing you gotta do is to fantasize about your higher self in life. You have to visualize it within your mind. So you can't build a self-image or have the winner's self-image without knowing what it is that you want to do. So you're going to fantasize, and that fantasizing is what's going to build your winner self-image. Ask yourself, what type of life do I want to live? What kind of person do I want to be? What do I love? How does she dress like? How does she sound like? What are her habits? What are her thoughts? Who is she married to? Where does she live? What does she do on her weekends? Ask yourself this question. What does he or she, I'm just saying she because I'm a she, but this content is for both male and female. So you got to ask yourself two questions. Am I able to do this thing? And the answer can't be no. If the answer is no, get off this video because it's not going to help you. People who are on this video are the ones who are going to say yes. Yes, I am able. How? That doesn't matter. The point is, I am able. Right now, I am able. We'll see how tomorrow and the future next. Worry about today and only worry about tomorrow when it comes. Am I willing? Am I willing to do the uncomfortable? Am I willing to get laughed at? Am I willing to get rejected? Am I willing to get ostracized for this dream? Bob Proctor uses a good example of Carl Benz, and how Carl Benz would, at night, he would go and he would test drive his car, right? And it would fail, and he would have to push it back home. And it was so bad that his partner ostracized him and say, I'm not going to work with him anymore. He's too busy fantasizing about this car or whatever that is. But what happened is this: he ended up driving that car all over town. And that is the first model of the car that we have. So what he did is this fantasizing and trying to act out your fantasies is turning your fantasy into a theory. We have to turn our fantasy into a fact, but before we turn it into a fact, we have to turn it into a theory, right? And that's the process of turning it into a theory. Visualizing it in your mind. See, okay, what is this? Visualizing it in your mind. See obstacle as an illusion. See any doubtful thoughts as sin. You have to disregard them. There is no room for something else. The last, second of last is repetition. The first law of winning is repetition. I say, that's what Bob Proctor says. My own 2 cents is activate all 5 senses. That is it. That's, for example, listening to Bob Proctor's video, listening to my video over and over and over again. So the more you listen to it, the more you start thinking using that mindset. See more of the stuff, either through a vision board, either to what? Visualize. Constantly make sure you can see your future. Constantly make sure you can hear, there's a little cat here. Make sure you can hear your future. Make sure you're constantly surrounding yourself with. Make an environment that brings your future to life. Recreate the smell of your future. Recreate the taste and the touch of your future. Sleep to videos that help you build a new mindset and a new self-image. So last, that was my friend. So strengthen awareness. That's basically what we're doing. We are strengthening our awareness. We're saying that I want to repeat all of these patterns, so my brain, my conscious mind is so aware when these positive patterns that are building my winner's image are showing up, that it suppresses into my subconscious. Last but not least, visualize with emotion. Pretend you're an actor. Your higher self is your role. Practice your acting until you're like the character. This is your job. If you do not act well, you're gonna get fired. See it from that perspective. And when you visualize it, put it on paper. Write it down in detail, as much detail as you can. Even the smallest details will even make the bigger impact. Compare your vision with your current reality and see what decisions need to be made. So for example, if you say, okay, my new reality wakes up and studies, let me look at my actual reality. Do I wake up and study? No. So I need to change that. I need to wake up and study. The good place to start is with your appearance. As I said earlier on in this video, how does he or she dress like? Dress more like that person. If they have their makeup, their hair in a certain way, if he wears only leather, if he wears certain clothes, if he listens to only certain music, if he eats certain foods, that's the type of reality that you are trying to create. So replicate that until you your appearance, you start to look, you start to sound, and in front of people you start to appear like someone who's your dream self, until people start saying, hey, look at this person. Next, shift your perspective and shift your focus to a positive perspective. As I said earlier, if you're constantly thinking negative things and self-doubt, you need to see self-doubt as sin. You need to focus on what will build your self-image, your winner's image. Anything that breaks that down, it needs to go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something and took notes and you're putting this to the practice. And I'll see you in the next one.